So welcome back in this space. Roughly an hour later and still at the same time. So hence there's a bit more natural light in the space today. Now, with all of those changes, I will kind of stick with topics that anchor us a little bit into who we are, what we do, and where we actually might want to be. So today we're playing a bit with joy. Doesn't hurt, does it? So to begin with, I would love you to consider bringing in some blocks. I will only use them for now to sit on. So if you don't have any blocks, no problem. Perhaps find something that elevates your seat a little bit. I will sit on it as I have done in recent times towards my heels, but before things happened in my body, I always preferred an easy posture, and perhaps that is your pose where you place one leg just simply in front of the other and sit easily. The moment that is no longer easy, it defeats the purpose. So please do change the seat. Maybe your legs are even out long, or you prefer even to sit on a chair. Allowing yourself to just raise the shoulders up towards your ears as you breathe in. And then let them roll forward while you're breathing out. And then take another breath in as you roll them back and up, and out as you breathe forward. So let's roll the shoulders a few times, already linking to a breath that a second ago we didn't notice was there. So maybe welcoming your breath as well as you're starting to move your body with the breath. Now, when the shoulders come down the next time, we will change our approach. We will move the shoulders forward and then up as we breathe in, and then back and down when breathing out. So forward and up on the inhale, and back and down on the exhale. And then let that roll for a few more breaths. Your shoulder rolls can be quite large if you wish. Then let the shoulders settle when you next roll them back. And I just intuitively turned my palms upwards. Please have a feeling in. There's no need to do so. You could have your palms facing down just as much as it's possible to face them up. Just feel a little bit into the shoulders and perhaps play with how your hands are positioned. Once you've found a very comfortable spot for yourself, take a breath in and just turning your whole head to one side and out to bring it back to center. Inhaling, turning the head the opposite way. And exhaling to bring it back into center, repeating once more to each side, just turning the head. As you come into center after those two breaths, letting the right ear slowly lower towards the right shoulder, and allowing both of your shoulders to relax a tad bit more. You could then hold this and turn your gaze down to the floor just in front of your shoulder that you're leaning toward. You could from there carefully and slowly explore looking upwards, keeping the sideways tilt of the head. Bringing your ear to face the shoulder again, and a breath in to lift it back up. With the out breath, perhaps the ear drops to the left shoulder. Letting shoulders soften downwards. And maybe starting to turn the head so you're looking towards the floor just in front of your shoulder. And perhaps from there, maintaining the tilt, but starting to turn the gaze upward. And careful here and slow, mindful movement. Letting your ear face the shoulder again, and a breath in to lift the head. As your next inhale, reaching the arms up. And with the exhale, bringing your fingertips upon your shoulders. We will roll the shoulders individually. And as you lift one elbow, roll it back and follow it with the gaze on the elbow. So we're only rotating them backwards. Elbow comes forward when you breathe in, and then gaze and elbow back when you're breathing out. Let's do a few more of those. Turning the body, so moving with the elbow. Come forward as you lift and turn with the movement. And completed your next, continue on the other side as you breathe in. And then out to rotate and look backwards. In as you come forward and up. And out as you rotate back. Repeat for 3 more breaths. When you completed the 3 breaths, you might release the arms again, bring the hands down by your sides. Taking a deep inhale here just to sit that little bit taller. And on the out breath, bringing your hands down in front. Starting to lift your bottom away from the ground. Perhaps you might swing your feet out to the side depending on your seat. And then coming with me in towards a standing posture. It is this time of year, depending on when you're doing the class, where there is a need to take socks off again. So once you've managed to prepare, perhaps coming to stand at the short front edge of your mat. Let your arms be loose. Landing the feet deliberately onto the ground. Perhaps there's a sense of softness in your knees, so you're feeling a little bit more grounded towards the feet and the floor. Perhaps even experimenting with straightening the legs out all the way and standing actively and tall and noticing where the emphasis lies. And then soften the knees ever so slightly, just unlocking. And let the energy drop back into the feet. Allowing your weight to shift now to one side and bringing your foot forward. And you might circle this foot. You can hold on somewhere if the balance is a bit off today. Changing direction. Then starting to move into the knee. From the knee into the hip. Perhaps starting more of a figure 8 rather than a circle. And perhaps even giving the leg a little shake before you land back on it. As we change sides, starting to rotate into the other foot. And changing direction. And as you change to a little kick into the knee joint. And then starting to circle the hip. And perhaps the hip then becomes more of a figure 8 movement. And perhaps a little shake into the leg. And landing your foot back onto the earth. Returning into a mountain shape. The palms of your hands might be turned forward. And you could choose just for now to close your eyes or perhaps steady your gaze instead. Connecting with the body as it stands and creating a deeper way of breathing. Starting to expand your belly, your ribs, and lift the breath right to your collarbones. And then breathe out as you lightly contract and release the breath in the same order. With your breath becoming fuller and deeper, you might notice there's more movement in your body. And I would love to bring more movement into the body by working with the breath of joy. So for the breath of joy, we have a lot of arm movement. You can modify or pause it if it's not yours. How this works is we have a 3-part in breath. We breathe in, and out. So we'll do a few rounds of that. And let's begin together now. Breathing in, out. In, out. Get a bounce into your knees. 2 more. And returning back into your mountain, and just another pause to notice shifts in energy. Maybe there's a little smile creeping up on your face. Maybe there's a tingling somewhere in your arms, your fingers, a sense of alive now in your stance, perhaps. And then taking your feet to about mat distance or shoulder distance apart. Bending both of the knees and letting your hands slide to the middle of your thighs. If available, pointing your fingers inwards. So leaning into the middle of the thighs in a chair pose-like stance. And beginning on the inhale to lift tail and gaze. On the out breath, maintain the shape, really lean into your thighs and round like a cat. Breathing in, tail and gaze are lifting, and out to round and arch away from. Inhaling, finding your openness, and exhaling to round. Now, I'd love you to experiment as you inhale, just lifting the tailbone now, starting to uncurl the spine until the chest opens. Finally, the head is lifting. On the out breath, start with the tailbone too. Begin to round your back, and then the last thing that moves in is the head. So perhaps do a few more rounds where each time you're leading with your tailbone. So the tailbone moves first, the head moves last. And just being present as you can possibly lengthen your breath accordingly to find your rhythm. When you're next time in a rounded position, perhaps hold. I've cleverly placed some blocks here. No need to have them if you can lengthen down towards the floor. Stepping your right foot back and then also bringing the right knee to the ground. You might even untuck the toes. We're pressing down into the front foot and an inhale to lift both arms up. On the out breath now, creating cactus arms, keeping your elbows a little bit bent. As you then exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together and let them draw down the spine. For the inhale, relax. Exhale, squeezing shoulder blades together and down the spine. Inhale, relax it. Continue, 3 more breaths, just drawing these shoulder blades together and the elbows down, and then simply relaxing back to cactus arms. 2 more, breathing out, back and down, inhaling to relax. When you completed your last, an inhale to lift both arms up, and exhale to bring the hands to the mat or support, tucking your back toes under and lifting the knee off the ground. Finding length in the spine in a runner's lunge, your gaze is towards the mat. On the next exhale, step to the front and fold forward into a standing forward fold. If you can reach the floor or you've got items to elevate the hands away from the ground, you might just little rocks here forward and backward over the feet. While you maintain in a forward bend, the heels might lift, the toes might lift, or you might even choose to walk out the legs, as we often do in a downward facing dog shape. With the next breath in, then lengthening the spine back forward. And with the out breath now, stepping the left foot back. Again, please place the left knee to the floor if available to you. If not, of course, it can stay lifted. Starting to bring some weight into the front foot. And a deep breath in to raise the arms. On the exhale, take them back into cactus arms. So bending the elbows, perhaps your fingers are spread out and open. Repeating the shoulder blade movement. For the out breath, squeeze the shoulder blades close and down the back. Inhale, relax the arms. Exhale, squeeze and downwards. Let's repeat for 3 more breaths, sorry. So having good go at our heart center. After the last one, reaching up on the inhale and then bringing the hands back down on the exhale. Tucking the toes under the back foot, perhaps lifting the knee off the floor and finding back into the length. Taking an inhale here. And with the exhale, returning into a standing forward fold. Perhaps your hands are just simply hanging down for now. The knees might still be bent. And of course, you can keep the head and heart level if required. Beginning to uncurl the spine now on your next out breath and lightly using your pelvic floor muscle as a support for the lower torso. Lifting the shoulders as you breathe in and then drop them down and turn the palms of your hands back to face the front. Let's step whatever foot back is better for you to still see me, as we will face the longer side of the mat. Taking your feet out wide and aligning for now the outer edges of the feet. Your hands might slide into the side of the waist. We've practiced a lot of shoulder blade squeezing. Let's apply that here. As we breathe in, squeeze the shoulder blades and start to lift your heart and perhaps even rolling your eye gaze up toward the ceiling. Then bring a bend into your knees and breathe out to slowly fold forward from the hips. Keep a little squeeze between the shoulder blades if that's possible for you. And please change your hand position if this is unsuitable. So with the hands back and that squeeze in between the shoulder blades, even when you're folding forward, you're leading directly with your heart space. The knees can stay a little bit bent as you're folding forward. And that might guide you towards leaning in the direction of the toes to deepen even more. Now let us release the hands towards the ground. Turning the right foot out towards the short edge of the mat and the other heel towards the other short edge of the mat. Touch the palms of both hands together, turn towards the right leg, straighten both legs. Keep the hands touching on the inside of your right leg and lengthen your spine this way. Looks like a little bit like a half lift in a pyramid stance. And with your next inhale, letting the left arm perhaps slide up the right, brush across the chest. And if the shoulder is happy with it, you can extend the arm up, or you might gently rest it into the side of the waist, your choice. As you unfold it yourself into the triangle, see if you can recreate the length in both sides of the waist. Perhaps paying attention to a subtle bend, especially in the front knee, And the anchoring of the foot here with the arch lifted in towards the outer side of it, and that on both ends. Resting now your upper arm down into the side of the waist, bringing a bend into the front knee, and then taking a breath in to lift up. Exalting a triangle, you could slide the hand back down the leg. To release from this side, bend both knees, reach the hands down, turn the feet back to parallel, and let the hands slide down for another forward bend. You might place the hands now comfortably down, even pointing the fingertips behind you. The same posture, but perhaps different arms. So if you're reaching your fingers through and behind you, you might have a greater range of movement there, or it feels comfortable. If you have your hands more or less underneath the shoulders, make sure your shoulders are lifting gently. Taking another 2 breaths just to bend. Once you complete it, rise back onto your fingertips, soften both of your knees, and now turn the left foot out towards the short edge of the mat, and the right foot to the other with the heel. Bringing both hands to touch as you begin to straighten the legs, also turn towards the left leg. Your hands might touch on the inside of it as you lengthen the spine this way. Grounding through both feet already. Take a breath in, and perhaps your right hand slides up the left arm, brushes across the chest, and either the arm might extend or you could rest it into the side of the waist. When we rise up like this, we might lift up from the ground, but feel quite heavy into the floor and leaning there. So reaching actively out in the direction your front toes are pointing. Still standing here with micro bends in the knees. Let's all bring the upper hand into the waist. Take a bend into the front knee, and then a breath in to exalt. And in the process, the hand from the waist could slide down the leg. Reaching that little bit up as you find your stance. Then a breath in to reach the arms out, turning your feet and just relaxing the arms down by the sides. Let's maintain a slightly wider stance, but perhaps closing the eyes, steadying the gazing point somewhere. Letting your body just be easy. Perhaps you find it more comforting to turn the toes out, bend the knees lightly, a soft, very soft and gentle goddess stance. Helping you to stand in your own power. As you're opening the eyes again, let's return to the previous shape. We're turning the right toes out and the left heel. Repeat Trikonasana or the triangle shape, but we find a different way into it. So while you inhale, reach the arms out to your sides, leave the palms facing open, and perhaps bring length into that front side as you inhale, and maintain the length as you're reaching for your triangle. There's the same options here. The hand can be in the side of the waist or the arm can be extended. In this version here, notice how you're potentially standing a little bit differently. See if you can come back to that pushing away from the floor from the previous attempt. And perhaps deliberately choosing your gazing point with a light chin tuck, either down or up. Let's all bring the hand back to the side of the waist, a bend into the front knee, and perhaps a little widening of the stance. Your forearm could rest on top of your thigh. The shoulder might roll back, Same as in the triangle pose. It's kind of the sister asana or posture, the side angle pose. So if you feel ready for it, you might even open your arms again. Using your front foot to push off from, keep the legs in this position and turn that into an exalted warrior shape. Take a note of how you're standing in your hips and see if you can use the feet a little bit more to ground and rise from rather than to feel heavy. As you bring your hand back out in front, slide the other into the side of the waist. You could start with the hand on the thigh. You could reach with your fingertips to the floor or take a hold of a block. And you might draw the foot in. Letting your gaze be down towards the mat, as perhaps you could take the foot off the floor, flex it, and perhaps drawing the shoulder back. And some might find so much balance here, active flexion in the foot, by the way, to even raise the arm. And if you're feeling quite balanced there, challenge yourself by looking upward. Be playful. Let's point the foot and land it again. Landing in a wider stance, toes can be turned out, arms just simply relaxing on the side of the body. Perhaps that light bend into the knees that helps us to feel even more grounded. Let's take a full deep inhale, expanding belly, ribs, and upper chest, and out from belly to ribs to upper chest. As you open your eyes again, perhaps extending the legs a little bit more and turning your left toes to the short edge, the right heel lightly to the other short edge. Raising your arms out as you breathe in, the palms are facing into the open space. Perhaps lengthening the side and then coming to reach towards your triangle. Arms can be extended or hand into your side. And the same here, find your feet first. When we rise up from the ground, we're really often deeply connected into the ground. When we're coming from above, this is oftentimes what we're lacking. So reach into the length of your spine and the groundedness of your feet and deliberately choosing your gazing point. Let's take the upper hand into the side of the waist and then bring a bend into the front knee. Perhaps we're widening the stance a little for the side angle posture, and I just wiggled my back foot out. You can lean the forearm to the thigh or point the hand downwards with the arm extended. Option to extend your upper arm too. Same here, keep your length, especially your groundedness to the back foot because everything's leaning heavily towards a bent leg. And then keep grounding even more and lift from the front, sliding the other arm back as you exalt a warrior shape. It's a minor detail I forgot to take along, a block. So placing your other hand back into the side of the waist. Perhaps you begin with the hand on the thigh, hopping your foot in, maybe reaching towards the floor. Perhaps it is an elevation like a block. Keep your gaze down before you even raise the leg. And once you do, flex the foot. Starting to turn the body open, I will leave you to it. Opening the hip, letting the shoulder come back. The foot still in a strong flexion. And perhaps your arm is extending to the ceiling if you do find a glimpse at a balance. It's okay to keep the arm in the side and just work on the openness of the body, much more important anyway. As you stand, Pointing the foot, breathing in, and then landing again in your wide stance. Relax into the stance, turn the toes back out, soften lightly into the knees, let the arms hang. Feeling in a solid stance, the shoulders lightly back. Let's take another deep breath in and out. Now begin to heel and toe your feet closer. As you come to stand in something like a mountain pose, you can now choose the way you're facing. Perhaps you want to face the screen again. Love to practice just another balance. Raising the right heel up and perhaps placing the heel to your foot or ankle. Perhaps the foot comes higher up. Maybe you even help it to upper inner thigh. It doesn't matter where you place the foot unless it's against the knee, which is to be avoided. Pressing down now into the roots of the tree to lift up through the side of the waist and up to the crown. And some of you might like to join their hands together. If you find your tree is comfortable, you could come back to some cactus arms, opening the tree up in little branches, and perhaps squeezing gently down the back with the shoulder blades to let the heart lead the way. A more joyful tree as you take an inhale to lift the arms, the knee, and the out breath to land it again. Returning into your mountain as we raise the left heel, perhaps turning the knee out, landing the foot on foot, the ankle, the lower, or helping it to the upper leg. Do the same on this side. Start grounding down into your roots. Start to lift here through the side of the body and then to the crown. And perhaps the hands touch again if you happen to find some balance. I find the joy in balancing practices is actually not being balanced. So if you feel you want to move, open the arms back to cactus arms, get a squeeze down between the shoulder blades and let your heart shine open, maintaining a steady gazing point here. Balance when it's imbalanced is actually more fun than when we're standing and being solid. With your next inhale, lifting the knee up, and with the exhale, we will land again on our feet, the hands turned forward. I will just turn myself a little bit sideways to continue with the movement. On the inhale, lifting the arms back up. Take the palms to touch, soften your knees and fold all the way down on the exhale. With the inhale, creating length in your spine for a half lift. And with the out, by stepping both knees down onto the mat. As you place your knees down, also spread your fingers out. And while I'm more in an all-four stance now, I've just stepped my knees a bit further back, leaning the hips forward and drawing my tailbone towards the heels. If you want a full plank, of course, can you tuck toes under and stand on feet and hands. Take an inhale here as you lift out between the shoulder blades. And exhale to hold. Inhale again. Exhale, bend your elbows, keep them by your side and slowly lower the whole body down onto its front, even resting your forehead down. Taking your arms along the sides of the body. Perhaps it's the chin that's now resting down. Touching the palms of the hands perhaps to the mat. And either you stay right here or you're sliding those hands underneath your body, lying on the arms. Keeping the head down, breathe in and lift your right leg. Keep the hip down and just extend out through your toes and hold. Next exhale, let the leg lower. Other side, inhaling, lifting the left leg up. Holding again as you lengthen down into the toes. Pelvis is balanced. And out, breath to release that. Option to repeat the lift of one leg on each side, or lifting both legs. Keep the head down though, press into the hands and see if you can even fly the pelvis off the ground. Exhale, release the legs down, shuffle a little from side to side if the arms are underneath, and let them come out from underneath. Draw the forehead towards the mat instead, lengthening through the back of the neck. And then place your hands down underneath your shoulders. And take a breath in just to help yourself onto all fours. And then perhaps stretching back into a softly extended or even full child's pose. Just for another deep, full breath, we will hold. And on the next out breath, beginning to uncurl your spine to a seated posture. You might have your blocks handy for a little bit later, but just simply coming to a seated pose if available to you, and perhaps even extending the legs out wide. That's good to shuffle around your sitting bones. If you have a folded blanket, that would be great to sit upon, or rolling up the end of your mat. As we come to sit in this shape, I like to ground my fingertips down by the sides because I'm really just not in a good position, and you might be challenged in this seat as well. So perhaps grounding the fingers down and helping you to erect your spine. The legs might be long to help you do so, but you could then step your left hand into the center and turn towards your right leg. You might inhale here and bend even the right knee, and then exhale as you're leaning towards the side. So it's a straightforward fold, but we've got a light twist here in the body. So you might feel as you're leaning towards this leg that there's also a stretch on the adductors in the opposite leg, the inner thighs. The body can here surrender into the shape, but maintain a flexion actively in your feet. And allow your breath to become smooth and full. There's time here to focus on your breathing, just letting that happen. As you next inhale, lifting a little out, and on the exhale, walking your hands back. Bending the right knee now, perhaps even in front of you. And perhaps the other knee bends as well, and you could choose to place that knee towards the foot. Keep turning in the same direction, and perhaps it's the back of the left hand reaching towards the knee, the other fingertips supporting behind as you go into a twist. You might even for a while close your eyes and just notice. This is quite different twist to what we often do where the spine is quite upright. Feeling into the differences, the challenges, the sensations that you might feel. As you turn your head to the front on an in-breath, release your hand on the out-breath. Perhaps we start to extend both legs back out towards the sides. You could repeat with your fingertips on the ground to elevate your back as you breathe in. Then perhaps bring the right hand in front to turn. Take another inhale as you might bend your left knee. And with your out breath now, walking the hands over towards that side. Starting to surrender here. What is not surrendering is the flexion of the feet for direction, for the stretch, where to go. Rather than just doing, stay here. Be present with all the sensations that you're feeling, where you're feeling them. Don't limit yourself. It could be many other places to those I mentioned before. And let your breath be smooth and long. With the next inhale, lifting halfway out, and with the exhale, walking the hands back in. You might like to bend the knee that we've just had extended and lean towards, perhaps bending the other knee too. Now you could take your right hand or the outside of it towards the outside of the left knee. And you can see my demonstrations here are lacking some refinement, but maybe your foot is actually touching the knee. The fingertips are behind, and you could turn and even use the hand against the leg actively to twist and turn. There's an opportunity here to steady the gaze or close the eyes, and again feel into the shape, how you're responding to it, where you might have challenges. Or perhaps it just feels perfect for yourself. On your next inhalation, turn the head forward. On the out breath, bring the hand back in, starting to lift the knees back out and bringing the feet out in front. So the legs come out wide one last time if that's available to you. If not, you can have your legs together. Shuffling the sitting bones out as now it becomes what it looks like. As you flex your feet, bend your knees, take a deep breath in to lift up tall. And you could start even pushing with your fingertips as you find your way forward. Or perhaps the hands are coming towards the front. There's no need to fold all the way. And of course, it might not even be possible. So maintain a sense of lengthening through the spine while you breathe out to move deeper. The in-breath is for the length. The out-breath is to deepen the shape. Knees can be bent or straight. And perhaps this is a time to focus more on subtle waving through the spine with your breath, as you extend your body in between the legs. And you completed your next exhalation. Take a wave for the inhale and come a little bit out of your shape and then walking or sliding the hands back in. We'll change position, so you might start to bend both of your knees. Place the feet back onto the mat straight in front of you. There's an option here to lengthen the spine and reach the arms out long. And then rolling your back onto the floor. Before you go there, please make sure that you've got at least one block directly within your reach and that you perhaps have all the things there for relaxation. So when you're ready, rolling down onto the back. As you place with bent knees, your feet down right there, closer towards your buttocks, but out of touch. Hip distance apart, so are the knees. Arms can rest down by the sides and shoulders be easy. As you breathe in now, squeezing your bottom and starting to lift the hips for a gentle bridge. On the out breath, rolling the spine down, vertebra at a time. Let's do that a couple more times. Breathing in just to tilt and then to lift and roll up to a bridge and out to roll down. Last round. Let's hold the hips up. And you can choose now to place a flat block, a halfway block, or an all the way up block underneath your sacrum. And please make sure that you find the sacrum, especially when working with blocks. With bolsters, it's nice for the lower back, but the block would rather be on the very last bit of your spine, which we then call the sacrum. So that the rest here of the moving vertebrae are actually hanging down towards the ground and can relax. So could you choose to relax your arms, let them even fly a little bit out to the sides. Perhaps the palms are facing up. You might get some softness down towards your shoulders. As there's potentially not too much weight, if any, on the head, not really turning the head, but maybe just gently rocking it for a moment from side to side before you center it back. If you're feeling very happy right here and there, you might just simply stay. If you feel equipped for a light inversion, you might take your hands towards the block, just to hold on, and you're lifting the knees up gently toward the chest. It could be that you find the block is in an uncomfortable position. Step the feet back down and move it. But if you can balance on the block, you might extend the legs towards the ceiling. The arms again can relax if you're trusting your support or the block. And you might return to some of the foot movement that we practiced earlier to warm up our joints. So you might circle your feet a little. You might then choose to circle them the other way. You might then soften the knees and just let the feet and the legs relax. You might close your eyes. Supported shoulder stand or legs up the ball shape. When we were kids, we often brought ourselves into those shapes. Hanging of monkey bars, trying hand and headstands. And we lose this playfulness at some point. So seeing these inversions not just as very beneficial for your health, but perhaps as a kind of playful thing to do. And I can only encourage you to do those legs up somewhere near the wall or into the air very regularly. It is time now to release. So perhaps bending your knees back in towards your chest. Perhaps taking another hold of the block underneath before you land one foot after the other back onto the ground. If you've got a block underneath you, squeeze your bottom up on an inhale, remove the block and roll down slowly on your out breath. You might allow your arms to just fall away from the body, and you could choose to let your knees sway gently from side to side like a soft windscreen wiper movement. If this feels good, but you'd like a little bit more, take your feet off the floor and continue swaying your legs from side to side. So not really landing anywhere, just creating a movement to prepare. And perhaps this preparation takes you into a place where you can lie down, be still. And this might be a Shavasana. If you have a bolster or cushion rolled up blanket, you might like to place that underneath your knees. It is perfectly fine also to use a constructive rest where feet are wide and knees are falling in. Or have the legs out long and let them roll into a comfortable position, the toes rolling away from each other. As you find your way to your variation, getting very comfortable now. Perhaps you could draw your shoulder blades a little bit closer together underneath the body. Marianne Williamson says, joy is what happens to us when we allow ourselves to recognize how good things really are. If you feel you would like to come along on a journey of discovering some joy, you could come along with my words. If you prefer to be still and focus on the internal landscape and maybe your breath, you can do that too. If you're coming along, let's open the portal of joy by first aligning with the energy of gratitude. So breathe and let yourself be in this moment. Notice what you can hear. Perhaps you've got soft music playing in the background, or birds are singing. While you keep breathing, feeling the gentle movements of your body. And coming right into your own breath. The in, the out. Just practice being here, present and alive. Aware of all the little things that make this moment special. As you let any worries or thoughts or stresses release from you with every breath out. And with every breath in, fill yourself with gratitude for this moment. Gratitude for the big things. Gratitude for the little things. Invite them all within you. As you embody the beauty of life with every breath. Feel your energy shift, open and calm. As you awaken to all that is great in your life right now. And each time you breathe in, imagine the invigorating energy of joy entering your body, light and fresh. Each in-breath, invigorating energy of joy. Let this energy fill you up, bit by bit. Building on the foundation of gratitude for what is. Dissolving all the darkness or heaviness that surrounds you. And focus on the simple intake of air as you breathe in joy. You are allowed to feel joy. You are allowed to be joyful. You are allowed to delight in the small and big things that make life so great right now. So call in more joy and let it live deeply within you. And expand the space more. More joy for you, more joy for others, more joy for the world. Filled with the energy of joy. On your next deeper inhale, also lift the corners of your mouth, whether you feel it or you don't. Just smile. Let the out breath be a soft sigh and simply relax. Perhaps with so much joy within yourself, you have a different movement that takes you out of the stillness of this shape. Perhaps it's the usual movement ever so gently into the fingers and the toes. Perhaps that is joyful, to feel toes wiggling. Finding your way in your own time now toward a seated position. And making sure that your seat is comfortable, perhaps elevated. As you take a deep breath in to reach your arms out and up. And exhale to draw the hands down over the center into your heart. Let the hands come to rest here. Let the shoulders be easy. Perhaps your thumbs are attached to the sternum. Keeping a tall spine will complete our session with 3 chants of the universal sound of Om. Let's begin by breathing in together now. Let's put the smile back onto our lips. From our hearts, with a light bow, we extend towards each other. Namaste.